Testing, testing.
Go ahead and call this May the 30th call meeting to order. There's no such continuation. Thank you. Everyone got their mic on? Thank you, thank you. Okay, the first item on the new business, discussion of the current state of Lowell's wastewater treatment plant and impacts from future growth.
Thank you, Mayor. You know,
We need to adopt the agenda for the meeting, sorry.
I thought this was a continuation from my last meeting, is it not?
It is not a continuation, this is a called special meeting.
All right, let's adopt this agenda, I'm sorry. We need to adopt the present agenda.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Sorry about that, I thought it was a continuation. All right, go ahead.
thank you, Mayor. Before we get started, I would ask if we just have everybody introduce themselves, kind of this sort of workshop, special council meeting, and we'll just start with you, Lindsay, if you would.
My name is Lindsay Mize. I am a senior project engineer with Willis and Ravenel Engineering.
I'm Allison Alexander, client experience manager with Withers Ravenel. I have 17 years of local government experience as well before I started working with this one.
Chris Rosenblum, Director of Utilities for Willis Ravenel. Overall, about 20 plus years experience, water, wastewater design.
Stephanie Sharon here, Assistant Utilities Director with Two Rivers Utilities.
Brian Pataki, Director of Public Utilities, City of Gastonia and Two Rivers.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Michael Peoples, the City Manager in Gastonia.
Nice to meet all of you. Thank you, and you're welcome. Go ahead, Scott.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Chris, I'm going to let you kind of go through these slides on the current status of the treatment plant. Let's through this.
The current treatment plant status, your treatment plant is a 0.6 million gallon per day wastewater treatment facility, constructed in 1968. And then there's been necessary improvements, pump swap outs, rehab, as we've gone forward. But the treatment capacity remains at the 0.6 MGD. In February 2024, there was an annual utility allocation report presented to the City Council, which kind of summarized the monthly average flow, the 2023 permitted flow allocations, and also requested flows, flows that have been, we know that are coming, but haven't been quite permitted yet. And we're looking at around 0.36 MGD, which is around 60% of your permitted capacity. And why that's important to note, NCDQ requires that when you get 80% of your capacity, you have to have your ducks in a row and a plan for upgrades, right? That's the rule. By the time you get 90% of your capacity, you've got to have something designed and be moving toward construction. So that's why we track that. We're currently, based on the known information, we're sitting around 60 right now. 2019, as you probably know, there was a feasibility study done for the existing wastewater treatment plant, basically, looking at alternatives for moving forward as growth continues.
Chris, I want to touch that slide real quick that we're on here on the addition here that we had Lowell GIS staff analyze 5 parcels that we either know are very probable to develop. We've already started talking with the landowners, developers, and what we did is we kind of put the gallons per day that we're going to generate from those properties, those likely uses with the hotel or fast food, and maybe a C-store down next to Hillbillies, et cetera. And that's the map you have in front of you. Some of them a little bit more speculative than the other, but taking that raw land and looking what that would do. So like Chris mentioned, with the requested flows and the permitted flows, we're hovering around that 60% threshold. And then just with those 5 parcels, an estimate, of course, 77.4% of capacity will be utilized off of that. That doesn't include other infill development that you're going to see across the city. Talking with our land use consultant that we use for several studies that we've done with the 85 Gateway study and the downtown study. He worked on a study in the 90s about all of the kind of periphery of Charlotte municipalities, including Huntersville. Back then, Huntersville in like 1990 was 6,500 people. Now it's about 65,000 people. Just 30 years later, 34 years later. So being mindful of that future growth, and that's why we conducted a study in 2019. Sorry, Chris, cut you off. Just wanted to add that in.
Okay. So kind of summarizing that wastewater treatment feasibility study that was completed in 2019. It took a look at the plant status, the future flow projections that were known at that time. Certainly we know a lot more information now. And looked at several alternatives to be able to handle the additional flow. And the alternatives were basically centered around plant replacement as opposed to expansion, right? So going to a 1 million gallon a day plant instead of a 600,000 million gallon a day plant, or the project that is kind of in the works now, which is a regionalization project. A pump station and a force main that conveys the Lowell's wastewater treatment plant flows from the north part of the city. The flows that go to the treatment plant moves them to a different location, basically converts them to TRU, and then TRU handles treatment from there. So those are the 2 alternatives that were looked at in 2019. And the recommended option from that study was to replace the wastewater treatment plant with a pump station by the year 2035. And that is the project that's moving forward now. Now that we've got, with the code money, the ARPA monies, when those became available, and basically move forward to utilize this money to accomplish the goal.
Let me ask you this, the capacity of the sewer plant now we have, what is the capacity?
The overall capacity is
Yes.
600,000 or 0.6 million gallons a day.
We're using what, about 340,000 gallons a day on average? So you
That'd be a
some-
higher average, yeah. It's more around
Based upon
300,000.
what you're telling us, the water and sewer, and the amount of gallons that we're selling for sewer and stuff like that, then you divide it by 30, it's like 345,000 gallons a day on average. And you said 60% of 600,000 would be equal to about 360,000 gallons, right?
Yeah. and
60% would be
based on what's known today.
and you still have 240,000 gallons, and this is, potentially if all these things fall in place like you're speaking about, the growth and all these things, that all has to come into play. As far as up to date and right now, what we're servicing is, you're right, it's about 60% of what the capacity is. It's about 360,000 gallons a day. So we're well within the realm of what we need. But go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt you either, but we need to know what the figure is. Thank you.
Continuing to talk about the previous feasibility study, this is important to do this. So in 2019, the numbers were a lot different when we were comparing alternatives based on cost information in the RNS. Treatment costs since 2019 have gone up much more than anything else, more so than pipes and pumps, more so than other types of work that we're seeing. So we actually estimate that a today update for replacing the 0.6 MGD wastewater treatment plant with a 1 million gallon a day plant would be in the order of magnitude of 30 million. So that's quite a bit more than what was projected prior. If you see the chart that's included on the slide, that same 2020 cost, projected in 2019 was only 21 million. So we've obviously gone up quite a bit from that, and that's just kind of something we want to point out there. We're making sure that people are aware of, making sure municipalities are aware of, that treatment plant construction costs are, have gone up significantly. And it's something to have to be considered when we're making these decisions.
You're right, again, as far as the Spencer Ridge comes in, I think the total amount of houses down there are just 1,400 homes, right? Spencer Ridge.
408.
Just 400, I thought it was like three different divisions down there. It's a total of 408 houses. That would probably represent, what about, maybe at the most, another 1,800 gallons of sewer a day. I mean, added on to your 360,000 gallons a day, so it'll be about 380. Right now, that's really the only growth that we have, isn't it, as far as, it's supposed to be coming to Louisville, it's already on the map and accepted. Nothing out here as far as a motel or hotel or whatever you're talking about. Go ahead.
So continuing on the agenda, the wastewater treatment plant operation and maintenance costs, kind of current, future, looking at those costs is something we have to consider as well. We're looking at what plans are for this wastewater treatment plant. The 2024 operations or O&M budget is $365K. And I think right now we're looking like coming in a little bit lower than that. So the budget's going to hold. So a couple of if scenarios: if the wastewater treatment plant is replaced with a 1 million gallon plant, so we're upgrading larger plant. The estimated O&M cost annually that increase about $435,000. That's a 19% increase, and that assumes that your current contract operations is maintained, right? You've got a current contract operator doing a good job for you guys, from what I understand. Now, if we took a look at what the potential impact of having to hire a city staffer or two, in this case, to handle those operations, we'd be looking at an annual O&M cost estimated at $572,000, which is about a 57% increase over what it is now. So that's just a broad look at operations maintenance costs. Operations maintenance for wastewater treatment plants are certainly higher than they are for a pump station.
You're exactly right, but once it increases, you're bringing in more revenue because the money's got to come in to go into that plant, the water, the sewer fees that we're going to be charging people, that's going to bring in revenue as well. So it offsets each other. It's not like we're going to be blindsided and hit over the head and attacked, robbed by a bandit. We're not. But go ahead.
So again, the 2019 study did recommend the regionalization approach. And we've been moving forward down that path with TRU. A couple of bullets that I'll highlight here. The city has been a water customer with Gastonia since the city has had a distribution system. The city has been a wastewater customer since 2011, which right now TRU is receiving the flows from the southern portion of the city. Those flow directly by gravity to TRU system. And there is a current MOU for TRU provision of bulk wastewater treatment through the new interconnect that is being designed now. That was signed back in September 2022. That's kind of where we are today. That regionalization approach was part of the original funding consideration and funding package. That's funding the work that's happening now. As some of you might know, the state does score regionalization high in terms of what it wants to pay for, how it allocates funds, whether it be grant funds or low interest loans. They do consider that heavily in their decision making, and that's the path we are moving forward on now. And with that, I'll pass it along to City of Gastonia and TRU to go through some slides.
But before you do that, can we explain one thing about what you just spoke about, the lift station over there that goes into Two Rivers? We collect the money for you and you get the check from Lowell. We take in the payment, the money, and turn it over to you. It's it's nothing good or nothing bad, it just washes out.
Understood.
Okay, I want the whole public to understand. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Brian Psaki again, Director of Public Utilities. We'll go through fairly briefly here, City of Gastonia and Two Rivers Water and Sewer services. This first slide depicts our wide service area, much covers the entire county from High Shoals down all the way to South Carolina, over, and from the west side, Kings Mountain to Belmont. We'll get a little more into details on the next couple of slides. This slide shows our treatment facilities. Our water plant is on Long Avenue. We have a treatment capacity of 27.3 million gallons a day. And you can see our average daily flows there at 14.6. We have 3 wastewater treatment plants, our largest being Long Creek, which would actually service all. Capacity of 16 million gallons a day with an average daily flow of 6.7, so plenty of capacity there. And of course, our other 2 plants are listed as well, Crouch Creek and Eagle River. This slide shows our water service area. A couple things to point out here. Our main water source is Mount Island Lake, which of course is to the east. We also have the ability to take water from the South Fork, and we also have Rankin Lake. You'll see some towns, cities here in some different colors. Our full-time customers are shown in blue, which are mostly on the east side of Gastonia, Granlow, Lowell, McAdenville, and Cramerton. And then we have emergency connections with multiple customers as well, Vesper City and Belmont. Our largest water user is actually Clover in South Carolina. This map depicts our sewer basins and facilities. We've got our 3 plants here, which we talked about, and similar to the water slide, we have our customers shown here in different colors. Our municipal customers are shown in red, largest being Vesper City, and our partial sewer customers are shown in green. You also see scattered about here we got about 40 pump stations within the system that we maintain.
What's the total, the square footage of the whole encompasses, how many, was it like 5 miles as a total sewer and water line system in Gaston County, not counting your Clover deal? What's the total land space, like 5.5 miles, what is it? 5.5 square miles? Mr. People, you may know.
The city of Gastonia, the corporate limits are 53 square miles.
What's the total square miles of the whole Gaston County? 500 square miles, I think that's appropriate. I'm pretty sure that's right. And I don't know how many square miles you're going into Clover with. That's right, but that's all municipalities. I think, we got 14 or 15 in the county, and then also the unincorporated area, you still service them in parts of the unincorporated area as well.
So
Yes.
I can tell you we have about 700 miles of collection lines.
Okay, that's probably appropriate, because it's 500 square miles in the county, plus your deal going into Clover, that sounds appropriate, yes.
So this slide, this was actually shown in the previous slides here. It shows our municipal customers. Of course, we fully consolidated with the town of Cramerton, where we own and operate all the lines in Cramerton. We have our bulk water customers. I won't read all these to you, but these are the towns and cities that we were showing on the previous slides as customers. Some of these are emergency connections. People need water at the college, we have a good connection. And some of these are full service connections. Some regional highlights began in the 1980s. We started with some wholesale partners. Town of Cramerton did a total consolidation in 2011. That formation of 2 rivers utilities. As part of that, customers were able to see a 20% rate reduction in their bills. We've been talking to McAdenville. We do have merger negotiations underway, and we have multiple public and private partners as well. We do believe heavily in investing within our infrastructure. We have several things listed here. Of course, it's not everything. We did acquire a permit in the 90s to withdraw 75 million gallons a day from Mount Island. Just recently, a $65 million upgrade to the water plant. Investing heavily in the southeast, over $50 million there, seeing a lot of development in the southeast. Continually to put funds to upgrade and improve our equipment. You can see almost $8 million 2006. Big Lakewood sewer pump station relocation. This was a pump station that was in the floodway that consistently was flooded out. Invested some money there to actually move it out of the floodplain. And a project in Cramerton, a lot of very old, undersized water lines in Cramerton, and investing money there to actually upgrade those lines. And one thing Sierra's Utilities is really proud of is our relationships that we continue to keep with our business partners. We do have long-term water and sales agreements where we utilize municipal wholesale rate. We do report at council meetings if requested. We were reporting at the Cramerton meeting just until recently, every single meeting they had, we had a representative there to report. So that was a big deal. Technical support, we do have the staff. We have multiple engineers on the staff. We have people that know a lot of stuff. So sometimes we do get those calls, and we're definitely willing to assist. Very responsive about any questions. And we also have a CRU advisory board that we do have our partners come together. We try to do it once every quarter, once every couple times a year. When we come together and talk about these matters. Any questions that we can answer now on CRU?
You're speaking about mechanical. Where they're presently, I thought they were with Two Rivers completely.
So we contract operate now, so McAdenville still owns the lines, and we actually operate their system.
And they go in the South Fork as well, correct?
They do, yes.
And also Randlow, it hasn't been that long since they signed on with you, correct?
That's right.
2 Rivers. How many years have you been servicing Randlow?
It's been a while, right?
Probably at least 15 years, I would say.
Well, they're one of your most recent transitions, right?
Stanley probably is there, and High Shoals.
I know Stanley reports such a high water and sewer bill, it's, I guess you see it just like we do.
I would think it's water, but not.
Well, yeah, Mount Holly's a little bit higher, but Stanley's up there with them. But by us controlling our own system, it helps us alleviate the extra expense we'd be paying Two Rivers. And thank God we own it and we paid for it. Let that get by, I'm sorry. But I understand growth, I understand what you're speaking about, and I understand being overtaken into a bigger conglomerate than what we have now. It's just that we have our own lift station paid for by the citizens of Lowell and an appropriate rate as far as what we charge. And then once you turn over Two Rivers, it'll be, you'll be controlling the water and sewer. We have a lease purchase of water from you every year. I mean, I don't know about the contract. I think we negotiated the last one back in 13 or 14, I don't know. But you usually have it where it's a long extended term, like 20, 30 years, where it'll be the same rate as the inside, and that's what needs to be looked at as much as this. And I think that, this has some good points and it has some great points, but it has some terrible points as well, because it's going to make the utilities here higher. But that's my opinion, but it's up to the council. And that's the only question or statement I have. Anyone have any questions?
Mention something on that. So in my manager's budget message, I always include that rate affordability on the bottom of the Water Sewer Enterprise Fund, showing where Lowell ranks in the state. Everybody can go look at this dashboard on UNC Environmental Finance Center's website, kind of play around with it, pick every jurisdiction that you like. And I was looking at Two Rivers is listed on there. And the median, I don't have the numbers exactly in front of me, but the median bill for a 5,000 gallon water and sewer customer was around like 89 some odd cents. And I played around with the percentage increase from their existing charges of what you would have to increase the bill, and it was about a 38% increase. You would have to increase Two Rivers' current charges to just get to the median bill amount in the state of North Carolina. I didn't look at Lowell's, but just relatively speaking to Two Rivers, that's kind of where they rank in the state. So you all know that. So. I'll send that link to that out so y'all can kind of look at that too.
There's a total of 552 municipalities. I think Two Rivers, I think you've got it encompasses of what you're just speaking about, like 12 of the 14 municipalities that are with Two Rivers right now, right? Lowell, and who else is not with you?
Cherryville, we have no connection with.
Cherryville and Lowell. That's the only
Mount
two.
Holly is completely independent.
Yeah.
We share Mountain Island Lake as our raw water inlet.
And we can't, we're only this small area here. We can't look at the whole statewide deal. I understand Raleigh, Apex, and places like that, and Greensboro, they have a different criteria than what we do, but thank God we own our plant. Go ahead, Scott.
Stepping back just a minute to talk about the project currently underway. Again, I'm Allison Alexander with Withers Ravenel. So as Chris alluded to, over the past 4 years, there's been a lot of money from the federal government flowing to the state tied to infrastructure. And Lowell took advantage of this to seek some funds to work on this project that was identified in the 2019 study. And really received funding from two different pots. The first one was a planning grant, which is $400,000 for planning and design. So really, it's the design of what is needed to regionalize with Two Rivers physically. It's decommissioning your existing plant, constructing the new pump station, and the design and the installation of the force main needed to make that connection to Two Rivers, and then modifying the existing South Fork pump station to be able to accept that flow. So we were contracted to do that design work last year. It's about 80% done at this point. Total project cost of all the design work that I just listed is $588,000. The grant covered $400,000 of that. So a 68% money from, which we all know our money, just being washed through the federal government, but Lowell receives 68 cents for every 32 cents that is spent on this project. So again, we're about 80% done with this work.
How much have we paid you folks so far?
We just received the latest disbursement approval from the state, and that'll bring it to $343,432.
So y'all just been doing virtually studies, right? As far as there's no work been done.
They're engineering the plans for.
And all you're doing is, you're getting paid handsome royally to, for the plans, no work has been done.
Correct, but no one's been out there.
All we've just been handing out money for Ravenel and all these other folks to do our engineering work and studies. I understand that.
And the grant is for, that's what the
I
grant's
understand
for.
that, but I understand this. We're still $168,000 going to come out of the city treasurer, is that correct?
Correct.
That's where you, it's on the backs of the people ultimately, all the way around, no matter if it's grant money, like you said a while ago, it all comes from all taxpayers all across the, United States. From the federal part, but the state parts of North Carolina. So we have to work together and understand that, we are in a fortunate situation to have our own plant. And we're nowhere near capacity. And I understand future growth, yes. But when future growth gets here, I understand this. Whoever's doing this, and just like on this deal with the Spencer Ridge, they're supposed to be paying all expenses pertaining to whatever they're doing. Nothing to us, according to the agreement that the city has made to Spencer Ridge. And all this stuff, when you come in and you have an agreement, you're supposed to live up to your agreement to take care of the expense, not on the backs of the taxpayers and the citizens of Lowell. But that's it's not an opinion, that's the facts. But go ahead, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
All right, so I mentioned there's two pots of money that the city received, applied for and received funding from. The second is the State Revolving Loan Fund, SRF for short. The city was awarded last year $7,905,060 to fund the construction of the work that's currently under design. And again, the objective is to ensure that the city has a plan to treat the wastewater going into the future. And the state of North Carolina.
Excuse me, I don't want to interrupt you. You just said it's going to cost $7,500,000 to upgrade our plant or take it and decommission and put it into the Two Rivers.
That's how much.
That is, if I had authority, I'd shut it down now, but I
Can
don't.
we allow this?
That's a lot of money,
Yes,
Bill.
can
I
we
understand
allow
dollars.
this presentation to go without interruption, then we can have question and answer?
We got to highlight the point, $7,500,000. That's a highlight. Go ahead, excuse me.
Of that, $5,098,703 is a loan for 20 years at 0.76% interest. And out of that 500,000, the way these are structured is principal forgiveness. So it's counted towards the loan category, but then 500,000 is taken off the top before you start making the debt service payments. And then the additional $2,806,337 is straight grant funding. So 36% of that cost is grant funding. You can look at it that way as well.
That's a total of $7,905,000, correct?
Correct. So the funds have been awarded. The city adopted the initial resolution to accept, but there's additional steps that have to be taken by the city to actually accept these funds and commit to using them for this project. And they were awarded for this specific project. As alluded to earlier, some of the points that were awarded and the way these grant applications work before regionalization and for this specific project, you can't take the funds and use them for something else. You can't change the scope of the project for which the grant was awarded. So it is tied to this specific work. The state sent a revised letter of intent to fund dated April 30th of 2024. In conversation with the state, their expectation is that work would be contracted within 24 months of that date, so by April 30th of 2026. There is some room for, if there's a reason why an extension would be needed to get under contract for the construction, they're certainly open to that, but it has to be open communication between the city and the state. You don't want to wait until 2 years and then ask for an extension. So that's the current state of the funding. And I'm going to turn it over to Scott to talk through a little bit about some of the logic behind.
I'll let you just work that for me for a second. It won't take long. So I just pulled up the 3 next slides. This one included is just and schedules on what this looks like for the debt service. So if we go forward with this SRF loan / grant, we're financing almost $4.6 million, and the total cost of that is almost $5 million, $4.974 million, paying $375,000, almost $76,000 in interest. That's with that 0.76% interest rate, 20 annual payments. Okay. Next one. This is if we don't do that, don't take this SRF loan grant, decide to do this maybe later and maybe funding is not available. 20-year schedule, estimated at a 5% rate. We're paying nearly $12.7 million for the same project and $4.7 million just in interest. So just our interest for
Scott,
that.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you're talking about $634,000 a year from the Citizens of Louisville, correct?
That is if you did not take the SRF loan. You want to go back one slide for me? So you're about $250,000 if you're going with the SRF loan.
We only
grant.
have less than 1,600 water customers. So divide that into that and you'll get the appropriate amount that we want upon each utility bill.
Yeah, and Chris, kind of maybe highlight the timeline of when you think you're going to be complete, when you think bids are going to be in hand, and even if that project commenced pretty quickly as bids are received, where do you think we're at year-wise with a completed project and we're actually sending flow to Gastonia?
So we're well ahead of the April 2026 deadline for having contract in hand. I mean, we have an 80% design, plus or minus complete. We're kind of moving into the permitting stage. So, conceivably, this thing could be ready to bid by fall or early next year, depending on how long permitting takes. Without an issue. And you're looking at probably a little over a year-long construction. So that puts us being complete having construction complete by that April 2026 date, as opposed to just having a contract in hand.
So nothing's locked in as far as the total price. You have to do a bid process. This is all hypothetical, hoping and praying it all works out this way. It's nothing.
This is based off the award of the $7.9 million.
And this all it's based upon your grant money and things like that. But ultimately, the banks and citizens of Lowell are going to be paying this difference, this total 20-year payback.
The ratepayers pay.
Yes, sir. There's no way around it.
So back to that real quick, that second slide, you're going up to $12.7 million roughly and paying back $4.7 million just in interest. And then the last one. This is if we went that wastewater treatment plant replacement route and did not choose to do regionalization, and at some point, these are today's dollars that were estimated for $30 million total for the construction cost, but with the 18 million in interest on that, you're looking at paying 48 million. So your $250,000 annual debt service rising to 2.4 million, getting sort of out of reach, I would say. So I just wanted to include these three examples so you all had that to look at. And might have something after that. There we go. So potential fees and contract contents discussion. This is the last section of the agenda. Want to talk, maybe have Two Rivers talk a little bit about how they're structuring some of these municipal contracts. I sent you all out the responses that I received from, I guess, all but Kings Mountain was on my responses. I reached out to the municipal customers and asked them, I included the questions that I asked them when I sent you, but basically how is your relationship with Two Rivers? How are your fees? Are your citizenry taking that fee well? Your elected officials' thoughts, staff's thoughts, and everything like that. So you've had that to review. And in some of those responses, it was highlighted that we could not be charged per our contract more than what anybody else is charged by Two Rivers. So that goes, I believe, with the ratepayers in the city of Gastonia, correct? So there's a uniformity there that I just wanted to make sure y'all are aware of. Inflow and infiltration, that was mentioned a lot in that 2019 study from Labella about their recommendation after that study to regionalize, as long as the city keeps up with I&I repair work, which we have been with the CDBGI grant, with the AIE sewer grant, locating all those manholes, about to add a lot of those manholes to the some of the remaining funds of that grant that we're working on. And then I think some preliminary discussions have been going on about some flow monitoring, looking for I&I issues in certain areas in the city where we have that may have a hunch that it is a problem. It's pretty apparent. And then attacking those areas with some of that direct $8.25 million we got from the state for water and sewer repairs. And then a little bit maybe about capacity structures of what we're looking at. If we need 600,000 gallons per day capacity, that's kind of built into the contract, and that might be 5 years or something like that. And then we revisit it in 5 years, or in 5 years it's going up to this. And so there's a lot of negotiation that the attorney and staff will work on with their staff about how that works out. And just wanted to have this opportunity for those questions and then any other kind of Q&A.
Here's the biggest thing, and I mean, there's not a person in this room, that not people, you know the truth. It's still the city of Gastonia water and sewer, even though you changed it to Two Rivers. It still goes back to when Rankin Lake and the very beginning of the whole system, the uptown system, sewer system, the whole 9 yards. But what this does, by all these other municipalities coming in, it takes a load off of your back in Gastonia because it helps the whole situation. And the more suckers you get on board, the better it looks for you, because you could reduce your expenditures. And what would be the best for Lowell, like I told you in the last meeting, if the city of Gastonia would take Lowell over, give it to them, we'd have a tax rate of 45 cents. We wouldn't have a fire tax. We wouldn't have all this stuff. We'd have the arts. We'd have swimming pools for our children. We'd have the police department just like we do now. We'd have the fire department. We pay an 8.5 cent tax. You got to put all this stuff together, Scott. This is where, you know, that people think I'm not harping on you. Here's the truth and nothing but the truth, people. And the same way with you. You got to come in with all the best remedies for your municipalities, like we do for our municipality. Correct? You want the best for Gastonia because you represent Gastonia, correct? We represent Lowell, and that's where we should be looking. And if we did anything that made sense, we'd eliminate this process and try to go in with the city of Gastonia wholeheartedly, because we're losing our fire department. Now we're giving up our sewer system. We do this. We got to get under control and understand this is not a rich city. You know, I'd say 20% of the people that's on fixed income here in our towns were people that worked in these textile plants. They only get $1,000 and some a month. You're talking about increasing these fees for these people to that significant number. on the backs of the people here. And I understand revenue, y'all, you folks get paid for engineering fees, and I don't blame you, go out and get anyone you can. And I don't blame you for testing the water here. And I don't blame the city manager for trying to put something out there that he thinks may be appropriate, but the common sense should have come from the old council before it ever got this far. It's up to this board, it ain't up to me. Like I said before, I'd shut this thing down, we'd be going home. But any questions from the board? Now's an opportunity to speak.
Mayor, I will add, I've lived here since 2005. I was in Cramerton for 10 years. I wasn't in that picture with Mayor Stoltz and Mayor Worley because I took the picture. In 2011, whenever we consolidated with Gastonia, I think sometimes opportunities are there to have power, have authority over something, right? To control
You do.
water and sewer. In Cramerton, I was on the other side of that. Relinquishing that burden and that debt was the best case scenario for Cramerton. Now, in Gastonia's standpoint, because all that infrastructure was built upon textiles back in the 70s and 80s,
60, 70.
and Gastonia invested heavily in that. They did it wisely. They did it because they have that huge intake on Mountain Island Lake, where Charlotte is, where Mount Holly is. That's where it belongs, not treating the South Fork River. They have these pump stations at all these capacities. There's 3 now treatment plants because Eagle Road is now one of those in Gastonia. So the preparation for all that was based on textiles. Textiles left, we were left holding a whole lot of debt, but we were left holding a whole bunch of capacity. And we can also see the city of Charlotte from right here, can't we? From here, we can see the skyline. We know that the growth is inevitable. We know it's coming. And really now, finally, after decades of suffering, really, because of the loss of textiles, we're finally getting that back because of that infrastructure investment made back when. So it's finally getting to be an economy of scale. It used to be that, all that was built upon textiles, but all that went away. And now you have that capacity and you should use it.
Yes, sir. In my honest God opinion with you, you're a hell of a politician. But yes, you are, because you're speaking about things, we're talking about sewer. We're not talking about the water. Yes, we're gonna get the water from you from now as long as we can. But the sewer is ours. We have a plan here. We're not in a quasi, we're in a no, where we have to be in a hurry to do anything. And with all this money, you're talking about debt on top of 1,600 water customers. And if you were in your city, yes, if we're in your realm, it would be the best thing in the world for us because it would be a whole lot cheaper. We're paying 57.5-cent tax. You charge 45, right? City of Gastonia.
47.
How much?
47.
Okay, 47. That's still better than we're paying 49 plus 8.5-cent fire tax. That's 57.5 cents. We have to look at the whole picture too. This is what do we have? Maybe 5 square miles, I don't know, but we've got to take care of our customers. Then what we giving up to y'all already out here at the fairground, the 2 lift stations out there, it goes directly into 2 Rivers. We collect the money, we don't make anything off of it. 2 Rivers gets the money. But we have to look at the whole picture, and I understand what you're saying too. If we had an influx of 50,000 people come in here overnight or within the next 20 years, you might be right. But we don't have the capacity, we don't have the room for that kind of growth. We don't have that. So it's on the backs of the people living in our corporate limits. And we don't have the luxury like you do. And Crampton's paying a lot more for their water and sewer rates than they did back before Worley was mayor down there. Yes, they are. Look at the bill. You're telling me that their bills are cheaper. You're telling me that
The slide showed it. We increased the rates by 20%.
our water and sewer bill here on a minimum is $45. What's the minimum in Crampton? Well, you should know. Some of these folks should know. We're not over expensive, but we're high because of the landfill fee and the water runoff fee. You take that away, ours wouldn't be like $28, $29. And that's, that would be great. But we have to understand the real world as well. And I understand you too, and I don't blame you. If you can get every sucker in this county to come in there with you and reduce your rates up there for your sewer, that would be good for you. But it's gonna be hell for us, because we can't pay that. They may think they can, I don't know, it's up to them.
think we should prefer equal suckers whenever we're trying to partner in a win-win situation with our neighboring municipalities.
The partnership would be good if it was good for us as well. But we're not gonna be, and I would not recommend it, but they can. I mean, if they wanna choose to go that route, it's up to them. But that's what you're hunting for, someone to come in and partner with you, you can call them partners or whatever. But if we give this up, we're making a terrible mistake. Any questions from the council?
What are the rate comparisons? I mean, if we're, if you're looking at one of our current bills, if the city of Lowell does go to Two Rivers, what kind of comparison are we looking at if we looked at those numbers today?
So that would be an interesting piece of work that we would have to put time into, because the way that it would work here is it wouldn't be a full consolidation, right? So our rates are completely different than what your rates are because of what treatment costs that Two Rivers, City of Gastonia will be charging partner municipalities is one thing, and then you would have collection and distribution on top of that. You would still have to perform.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying, if we look at our wastewater treatment plant budget, $365,000 for '24, what would we project our cost if we send that to you? What's that cost going to be? We still have all the other costs as far as the lines, and we're maintaining all that. I'm just trying to compare that cost to what your cost would be for treating that same amount of.
So, I mean, you could look at it as whatever the per 1,000 gallon charge is that we have in a rate structure, whatever that is, 359, 1,000 gallons, I guess, right? But it's not as easy as that, because these agreements are pretty complicated in consideration of all things, right?
Not to interrupt you, Shane, but if you add all the interest and principal to that on top of the water and sewer and stuff like that, it's going to be astronomical.
I understand that.
Thank you. Sorry, I interrupted you. Anyone else?
This agreement, I'm assuming, is going to be similar to what we're doing basically right now with Fair Street. I mean, it's going to be the same thing, correct?
There's a wholesale municipal charge, and there's a certain amount of gallons. Probably a little bit more
On a larger
in-depth
scale.
contract with this, but roughly, yeah.
You still got to add back in the interest and principal on top of that.
So
Well, I
when,
understand that, but I mean, if you
Not good.
have to do work on the plant you have, you're going to have to do the same thing. So I understand that. I mean,
Maintenance, just like,
Sure.
I agree 100%.
a lot of contracts, there's some of that inflow and infiltration sort of forgiveness, I guess, if you will, or a certain buffer of allowance of that, right?
Yeah, in the past, we've had some contractual relationships where a bulk municipal customer, there's a period of time for which there is consideration for that bulk municipal customer to correct any I&I issues. So that's something we can certainly work out in the contract process.
Excuse me, if Two Rivers would, negotiate with us and say, take that, whatever that payment would be to equal that, whatever the amount is, 248,000, whatever it is a year, if y'all could eat that and leave us alone and let y'all pay for it, because you're the one's gonna be benefited, because it's gonna be your system. But you're gonna have that system on the backs of us paying the regular water and sewer rates we do with additional principal and interest. That's what I'm speaking about, and we own our plant, and everything seems to be just fine right now, and what you have to do is keep someone down there that's taking care of it, that has a license and the ability to do it. But that's up to us, this council and the city manager, to have someone in place to continue doing what we're doing. We don't need it because we don't have that growth right now. And our plant's doing just fine. We have no problems, no qualms with our plant whatsoever. So why the rush? This is something you can be kicked down the road a few years and understand maybe they come back and say, yeah, we'll pay for this and we'll help the town of Lowell. And then that would be a big benefit because we're already the highest taxed municipality in the county.
There are
With the fire
there
tax.
are 2 ways to look at it. We have funding opportunities now in a willing partner that's willing to join up that would alleviate the financial burden of the city greatly. Or we can kick the can down the road, wait 10 years, pay $30 million for a new plant and no bill. I mean, that's the way I've looked at it. That's my balance. pretty simple math to me.
How much would it cost each citizen here each month additional what they're paying now to do this? Do you have any idea?
I know that it will be less than a $30 million plant.
What do you mean a $30 million plan? How
If
much you
we
think the
could-
value of your plan is now?
The value of the plant is irrelevant. The value of the plant is only what you think it is. Who's gonna come buy it and give you whatever you think
Be
it's
thankful you
worth?
got it. You own it. We own it, the citizens do.
Exactly, but it is
It's paid for.
near the end of life. You're going to have to do something.
Yeah, when in the life, you're gonna take your last breath.
Any other questions?
I would say one more thing, Councilman, you're right, these regional projects, you've heard the schedule, they take so long. You know, I arrived in Cramerton in '05, worked until 2011 to consolidate. We were here, Cattonville, Cramerton, and Bolton were talking. Originally, it was us three. Gastonia wasn't really even in the picture at that point in time. It was supposed to flow to Eagle Road. And so we've been working on this, I have personally been involved in it since that time, since I arrived in '05. So the preservation of the corridor for where the line would actually go, you know, working with Floor Yarns was very challenging to preserve that corridor under 85, to be able to do this at all. So there's things that have been in place and then things that have been worked on for years to get to this moment. And if you want to skip back to where your funding opportunities are now with the state coming up with the package deal for financing that they have on the table, that's unbelievable money. 0.76, unbelievable. Look at the grant money that you're getting, $7.9 million. You have enough money to actually make the project work. McCaddenville is still working on trying to get funding so that they can get their system up to date, so that they can work with us and see a full consolidation. But regionalization takes a long time, and a lot of things are outside of our control. They start in Washington, they go to Atlanta, and then they come to Raleigh, and then they come to you. And they will tell you what you do, and they will tell you what you need to do in treating your wastewater. Out of your control. They may come to you at some point in time, change the whole rules of the basin. They may say you need to now remove nutrients from your wastewater discharge. Because you're under 1 million gallons, you are exempt right now from it. Eagle Road was not. We had to spend $5 million adding chemical removal for nutrients, for phosphorus and nitrogen. We don't know what those rules are going to do, but we do know this. For those 3 treatment plants that the city of Gastonia / 2 Rivers have, we are doing that. We are treating it to a higher level. We are environmentally friendly. We are doing it the way that we should do it. But in the future, I'm just letting you know, in the future, some of those things can change, and you're notified by letter. And you have X number of times, years, whatever it is, to start complying. And if you had to add nutrient removal to a 600,000 gallon a day plant to comply, I have no idea how much that might cost, but it probably would cost more than that.
That's when you get to 1 million gallons. And let me explain
It
something
may
else.
change.
I know, but let me explain something to you. Who's the smartest municipality in the county? You know. It's McCampbell, the smartest people that run their municipality, McCampbell. They got rid of their police department, their fire department, they're on the backs of everyone in this county because they understand money. They understand what makes the bottom line better for them. Mr. Peoples, I want the bottom line to be good for us. And hypothetical and all this stuff you're talking about down the road, if we ever get to 1 million gallons, which I doubt we ever will, and if we do, the people that's supposed to be coming in, putting these projects in, it's on their back according, because we don't have it inside the city limits. Right now, we're faced with a problem on Spencer Ridge, where they're going about coming into the city, he said 400 houses, I thought it was about 3 different phases, but it may be 400 houses. But whatever, they have to pay for the infrastructure for the whole thing, that's in the agreement. We don't pay for anything. And I understand what you're saying, it sounds good, and it's a good selling point for you. It's also a bad point for us, because we're nowhere near capacity. McCampbell's the smartest municipality in the county. They play off the backs of everyone, and you know that on Cramerton. You're proud of Cramerton. You assist them greatly. We assist them, we don't get any money. If we have a backup call, fire, whatever, we're there. No money. Yeah, at least Cramerton gets paid. But if we did the right thing, and that the right thing would be to go to Gastonia and let you have us. And that way, we'll be getting the same thing, and you could orchestrate the whole deal. And we wouldn't be paying 57.5-cent property tax. That's, you look at all these things together. You're just looking at the sewer deal. I'm looking at the whole picture. Water, sewer, and taxes. Water, sewer, and taxes. Water, sewer, and taxes.
You're correct, Mayor. I do look at water and sewer completely as an enterprise fund and as a business.
Yes,
We
sir.
operate it separately from our general fund. We operate it separately from our electric fund.
As
And we
required.
treat it like a business.
As required.
But the bottom line, it takes all the monies you collect to run the city of Gastonia, just like it takes all the money that we collect to run the city of Laurel. It all goes in one bucket, and it's not different. It's all in the bucket. You still have to be able to pay the bottom line, which is every department that you have, included water, sewer, police, and the whole 9 yards. You know what it is. And that's the whole bottom line, not bits and pieces. We can't pick and choose no more than you can. Any other questions?
So if McAdenville's the smartest municipality, didn't you just say about 10 minutes ago they're trying to get as far as we have to partner with you guys to get water?
That's on their back.
Consolidation.
But they have the money already in place because they're not having to pay for the police protection, the fire protection. They pay a certain amount to Cramerton, which is far less than what it costs us. You add all that together, they're very smart, very smart.
So what, this cost, this 7.9 million, I know this is an estimate. How close do you think that's really gonna be? I mean, we get into this thing, is it gonna be?
That'd be a question for us. As we finish design, we continue to update construction cost estimates with new information. I mean, we have projects that bid across the state, on a monthly basis. We try to keep up with that information and say, oh, wow, price per foot of 12-inch force main, which would apply to this project, and that's gone up. We would update that estimate, right? So as of right now, we think we're pretty close. It'll happen on bid day. And something else that can drive what happens on bid day is how hungry contractors are. If you think about it, there's going to be a lot of projects bidding in the fall as ARPA money comes due. If you have contractors that are trying to keep up and they're already full up, and you advertise a bid, that can impact the cost. Obviously, a contractor's not going to put the same price on something he really doesn't need than he would if he really needs it to make it here well, right? So some of those things are out of our control, but we try to make sure we're keeping up with the funding deadlines. And as of right now, with the information we have, we think we're pretty close.
You guys feel that's pretty accurate too?
I'm going to rely on the expert engineers who are really following the market statewide. They're engineering projects across the state. Some things that just because we've done them in the past is variable, it's running into rock and some things that you just don't know about. And that's why you have to put the due diligence in for the engineering to do the soil testing and to know. We do know one thing is pretty much the necessary easements, right-of-ways that are required to facilitate the project, you've already acquired.
And like you said, Shane, and that what we've already obligated ourselves to Ravenel, $580,000 is already spent. It's already contracted out. How much will additional cost be from Ravenel to finish this project? What would be the percentage of your money?
So the contract that we're working on now gets us to bid day, right? We have a contract to get bid services, which is a much smaller effort. It's only a month, right? And then we would talk to the city about how much assistance they would like from their engineer during construction to provide oversight, keep the contractor honest, for lack of a better term, review pay apps, et cetera. So we would go through and have that conversation. And, you know, those contracts can vary quite a bit.
Hypothetical, how much money will you be getting out of this project, your company, whether it's driving out?
We haven't selected an engineer.
I'm just
for
saying, what would,
construction.
there's gotta be a percentage, how much will it be, Scott? I mean, these fees have to be encompassed into the whole deal as well. We
I
can't,
can tell you that, I'll give you an industry-wide number. I don't know what our number's gonna be. Industry-wide number, you look at the overall CIP value, the overall project value, maybe 15% plus or minus is your type.
about $1.5 million. Anyway, I would table this until you get more information.
What happens with that number in 10 years? That number in 10 years, if we sit back, do nothing, as Larry wants to, where does that number go in 10 years? Just guess.
So the same project.
Doubles at
Yeah,
least.
You're looking at your standard inflation type cost per year. So, I don't have that math done, but, in 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised if that's double for the same project.
Yeah, and
And
also,
again,
now you're talking about $1.5 million on top of 7.9, that's 9.4. We've already given you 500,000, that's $10 million. We hadn't even got out of the room today.
that's,
That's exactly what it is.
Back to the easements, got your surveying complete, I think.
Yes, all the field work, et cetera, you know, for, you know, geotechnical investigations, survey, locating existing utilities, so
So
that.
the trajectory of the force main, future proposed of force main, does it go through many parcel property owners, or is it mainly Belmont Land Investment? And that's why we're saying it's the willing property owner. Is it only them?
The North Carolina Railroad, you do have a crossing there.
Yeah, you got the rail crossing.
That's just an
Yeah.
application.
That is just, I say far, but Belmont Land.
And yeah, they are a working partner on this. They've asked for updates of where we're at with Withers, Mr. Karstafen, Mr. Clay. I do know a couple council members were from the prior council did attend that budget retreat over there, where we learned some of the plans that they're doing in McAdenville with some built-up development, urban development over there along the river. That may or may not be why they're wondering, you know, if this is going to happen or not, and the timeline of it. But you
because
know,
a part of that was the reason the why hadn't moved, and why it looks so good to come over here.
there's
It's
a
probably gone now, but, you know, that's part of that whole development that they were talking about.
and it's unknown for sure, but is that path gonna be available forever?
Right.
And then what's the path? And then what's the cost of that path?
But both of you are correct on that. McCann was smart. They're looking for a way to they got rid of their YMCA. They want to pound it off on us to where we take care of it, and us absorb all this cost while they go down there. Listen, they're in a unique situation. You know that, people. They're in the middle of this, and they're getting help on all ends. Lowell is getting assassinated by all ends because we have to come up with this money. These folks are here to make money because that's your job, that's your profession. I understand that. But understand this, it's on the backs of every citizen in this town. This is a poor city in relation to, even to Mechanical. We're willing to grow, and we want to do it the right way. But you can't continue to keep raising property taxes, water, sewer. I mean, we're losing the core people that have paid for this sewer system from 1960 to what it's paid for in 2001, completely paid for. Now you're asking us to go out, invest in something that we have really no control over if we turn it over to Two Rivers. We're only here to pay the bill and raise water, sewer accordingly to pay the bill. Right now, we're in a unique situation. We don't owe anything on it. We can get these grants from the government just like you can, people. Out there's a cat can do it. And that's what we need to do, is concentrate on honing in on what we do have and not reach out there and continue to push, you're talking about pushing the can down the road. But you could do it today. You could go ahead and borrow the money, do all this stuff. But when you leave here and the citizens start getting their new water and sewer bills, you're gonna have some irate people, because this is on the back of our citizens. They paid for this. And we have, I'd say, a 10 to 15% of our population just getting $1,080 a month. And there's no help for them except a little bit of stuff on their property tax. just like, and I hate to bring this up, but it's all together. Water, sewer bills, how it's billed. If you have a $45 water bill in Lowell and you don't pay it, it's $50 reconnect fee. We're seriously upside down, and I just hate to see where we're going. But use your head, council, that's all I can say. It's your city, you live here too. Our manager lives in Gastonia.
Mayor, I don't think we're voting on anything.
Well, I'm just saying, but let's put, I'll go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you for letting me talk. I mean,
I
you
don't
interrupted
think
a lot
we're
today.
voting on anything today, it's just
Okay, good.
discussions.
Good. That's good.
So there's no need to table anything at this point.
Okay, good.
This was just a discussion,
Okay,
so
good.
we
So
could
no
answer
action.
any questions, whatever we had, vice versa.
Thank you for clarifying. Thank you. Any other council member have a statement?
Motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Before we go there, I mean, you guys got through everything you wanted to get through?
Yeah, that was ABCD.
Go ahead.
All in favor of adjournment? Hell, I am too. Good night. Thanks, everyone.
I'm gonna jump.
Thank you, everybody.
Not people do all, yeah.